Good morning, class. It's me again, Teacher Sira. So I hope you're all doing fine. So for this morning, we will be going to discuss our new topic, which is decorating and presenting cakes. So before we proceed, let's have first our learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to describe the different types of icing and frosting, prepare icing based on a standard recipe, and show correct practice in applying icing as well as to plating and presenting cakes with patience and creativity. So, there are many types of cake. Cakes with fillings always seem to add a little extra to the treat. Well, there is a whole range of cake filling recipes to choose from. So it is important that the type of filling you use is stable enough. So now let's proceed to icing and frosting. So icing is a sweet coating made of sugar, butter, water, and egg whites or milk. It is often flavored and cooked and used to cover or decorate baked goods such as cakes and cookies. So here are the most popular kinds of cake icing that you can use to finish your cakes. So first we have buttercream. So buttercream is the butter-based frosting or icing, typically used on cakes and cupcakes as a coating, layering, or decorating cream. It is made of sifted powdered sugar, milk, and superior butter. So the quality of butter used will reflect on the appearance, consistency, and taste of your buttercream frosting. So the second one we have whipped cream. Whipped cream is a heavy cream that has been beaten until it is light and fluffy. This type of cake icing is achieved using cold heavy whipping cream and sugar and sometimes flavored with vanilla. So perhaps more than anything else, what makes whipped cream unique is its texture. It forms soft, light peaks that are higher than many dairy products. This is because it is made with heavy cream, which has a higher butterfat content. So now let's proceed to royal icing. So royal icing is a type of cake icing dries into a hard outer shell. It is also one of the easiest to dye with edible colorings. So it is made from softly beaten egg whites, icing sugar, and sometimes lemon or lime juice. It is used to decorate Christmas cakes, wedding cakes, gingerbread houses, cookies, and other cakes and biscuits. So the next one is cream cheese frosting. So cream cheese frosting is a variation of classic buttercream and has butter, sugar, and cream cheese as its main ingredients along with lemon for the added boost of flavor. So this type of frosting is usually perfect for carrot cakes, red velvet, and as filling for donuts and cupcakes because of its consistency. The next one is meringue. Meringue frosting is made by whipping egg whites and sugar together to create a light and fluffy frosting. So the meringue frosting is used to frost cakes and cupcakes but is also used as a piping to decorate desserts. So the basic ingredients for this frosting are egg whites, cold water, and granulated sugar, and are one of the most common types of cake icing. It is light and fluffy because air is introduced into the egg mixture to create a stiff consistency. So the next one is fondant. Fondant is an edible icing with a pliable texture that can be rolled, shaped, and sculpted. So it's commonly used to decorate cakes, cupcakes, and cookies. So basic fondant ingredients include gelatin, glycerin, water, icing or castor sugar, lighter than powdered sugar, and shortening. So the next one is chocolate ganache. Chocolate ganache is a type of glaze, sauce, or filling that combines melted chocolate and cream. This chocolatey creation ideal for covering cakes, stuffing pastries, and drizzling over desserts. Chocolate ganache and glazing are probably the easiest cake icings to make. So now let's proceed to the steps and procedures in icing a cake. So in icing a cake, you will need these tools and materials. So first we have cake cardboard. Cake boards come in all different sizes. Use a board that is 1 inch larger than the cake pan. So this allows for the thickness of marzipan, icing, and also for any decoration around the edge of the board. So the next one is turntable. So it is used to move cake easily in making frosting and decorating. So this basically just provides a level surface for you to put your cake on, plus the ability to spin the cake around as you're frosting it or otherwise decorating it. And the third one is cake decorating knife or icing spatula. So cake decorating knife or icing spatulas are essential tools for cake decorating. So now let's proceed to the procedure in icing a cake. So step 1, start by tapping ideally to your cake board or kitchen plate. Then place on the revolving cake stand. Step number 2, center cake on top of the cake board or kitchen plate. Step number 3, dollop about 3/4 cup of frosting into the center of the cake round. Step number 4, pour about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of butterscotch filling into the center of the ice layer. Using the back of your spoon, not your icing spatula, spread the filling until it reaches the icing barrier that you have created. Step number 5, set aside the butterscotch top layer for a moment. Place the second layer of cake on a piece of wax paper on the revolving cake stand. Trim the cake with a serrated knife to even out the cake round just as you did with the first layer. Step number 6, return the butterscotch layer to the cake stand and carefully place the second layer, frosting side down on top of the butterscotch filling. Step number 7, make sure that the top of the cake is fairly even. Gently push the cake down a bit if one side is higher than the other. Place a cup of frosting into the center of the cake. Using the icing spatula, spread the frosting out towards the edges of the cake. Then, smooth the center, letting frosting accumulate at the edges of the cake if you find you have extra. Then step number 8, run the icing spatula under warm running water. Cleaning the knife with warm water will help smooth the icing more easily. Then step number 9, once the sides have been frosted and smooth, clear the icing spatula once again. Now your cake is ready for decoration. You can cover the cake with fondant and go nuts. Okay, so now let's proceed to presenting and plating cakes. So it is important to know how to plate and present cakes properly. Pastry chefs and restaurants spend a lot of their time to plate desserts so that they look good as they taste. So we all know that the visual appearance of your location and the food is the first and longest lasting impression your dining guests will notice. If the presentation of the food is bad, our brains will naturally tell us we should not eat it, or it may not be as what we had hoped. On the contrary, if the food presentation looks good, our brains will believe it will taste as great as it looks, and our excitement engrosses us in the full experience. So, here are the tips on how to present and plate cakes. So, the first one is be creative with color. So, a splash of color can bring your desserts to life. In plating desserts, most especially cakes, you can combine colors enough for them to harmonize well together, allowing the freshness of the food to remain in balance. Using too much of one color can diminish the overall effect. Use your plating as a canvas or frame In the same way, you would use garnishes and sauces to highlight your creation. So the second one is combine textures. So adding different textures of the plate adds excitement to the visual appeal of the third course, and the enjoyment only continues when the eating commences. So the different textures excite the senses, giving an anticipatory sense of the taste pleasures to come. So the third one is compose your plate. So there are many ways to compose a plate. Consider the plate as if it were a blank canvas or as if you were composing the frame for photograph. So the composition of your plate is also very critical. It can determine the success of a dish, including features such as taste and flavor. The looks of a dessert on a plate tempts your guests' eyes, making them want to taste it. So the first one is consider the vessel. So it may seem like a common sense, but consider the experience of eating the dessert when you choose the type of plate. So don't serve it in a too tiny plate which may have garnish bubbling off and on the table once on the tines of a fork hit the dessert. Okay, so the fifth one is contrast temperatures. So combining temperatures can be a beautiful thing, but your plating does require some consideration. Do not put your dessert on a hot plate. A slightly chilled plate may be helpful when plating cold desserts, whereas room temperature will do just fine for most cakes or pies. So now let's proceed to sixth, let it be dramatic. So have a little fun with your cake. Employ tricks to add some magic to the presentation. Try recreating gravity-defying aspects taught in a crafty class. Gravity-defying cake rains on a mini scale. Or make a perfect dessert hover with the use of a white chocolate wafer, which then melt into it to create an amazing effect. People enjoy a little pomp and circumstance with their meal. Okay, so let's proceed to 7. Don't make it too tall or wobbly. A sense of layer cake looks fantastic standing up on a plate, but if it's too tall, there's a strong chance of it toppling over even in a short journey to where it is being served. So that is why it is important to not make our cake presentation too tall or wobbly. So the eighth one is garnish with care. So keep in mind how the garnish will function on the finished plate. Garnishes can be used to enhance plate presentation, to add color, interest, taste, and texture as long as they harmonize with the foods and accurately represent what is contained with the dish. So the last but not the least, be consistent. So when plating cakes, be consistent in your design and serving size. It can be confusing to see different presentation on each plate, and nobody likes looking over to a plate across the table and seeing the serving double in the size. So to decorate and finish pastry products is just as important to the success of any food or dish. It is the way the food looks on the plate as what tempts your eyes and want to taste it. So here's the standards to be followed when decorating and finishing pastry products. So first is color of the product. So color should harmonize with the product since it stimulates sense of sight and enhance one's appetite. So it is important that the presentation and plating must be eye-catching. Then the next one we have also appearance. So it is about the form and shape after baking the product. So each piece or slice should have the same size, shape, and form. So the plate needs to be visually appealing. Through the balanced use of color and shape, you can present a dessert simply and elegantly. Then we have also consistency. So it is the uniformity of grains and textures and how it feels in the mouth when eating the product. So consistency in baking is a key, especially if you want to make sure your product is the same each time so that the consumer can get the same product they know and love. So the last but not the least, moisture content. So this refers to the amount of moisture that is present in the product. Moistness also enhances flavor and palatability. which adds to the shelf life and mouthfeel of the product. In addition, the moisture content of the pastry products like cakes plays a key role in determining its eating quality and acceptance by customers. Okay, so I have here a sample video demonstration making a chocolate buttercream frosting and decorating a cake. Alright, so that video is a sample of a simple way of decorating a cake. So for your assessment, for activity 1, in a 1/2 crosswise sheet of paper, answer the following questions. So these will be submitted today. And for your activity 2, pastry makeup. So for direction A, group yourself to 5, prepare and decorate pastry products. Each group will pick up one pastry and decorate the pastry product following the standards and principles in decorating and finishing pastry products. Then, B. Present the decorated pastry in class. So, this group activity will be presented next week during our time. Okay, so that's all for this morning class. Thank you for your time, and if you have questions regarding with the group activity, please don't hesitate to approach me. Thank you and God bless.